All right, next caller here. This is going to be Eric. Hello, Eric. You're up next.
Hey Bart, how you doing today?
Pretty good. How's it going?
Going well, thank you.
All right. You got a hand for us?
Yeah, it's a 2-5 game. It's 8 players. I'm playing up at Cherokee, North Carolina. I have just under $1,000, and the villain has me covered, but not by a whole bunch more.
So, Cherokee, North Carolina. I have actually played in this place one time a couple of years back. They used to hold the WPT Championship or something, or something. Not the WPT, the Circuit
As
Championship there, or something
yeah,
like that, right?
this is actually during one of the circuit events back in November.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that it comes up there like 3 times a year. I mean, it's the only casino for several hundred miles around, so it gets some action sometimes.
Oh, by the way, someone said, when am I going to commentate on Hustler Casino Live again? I'm actually going out there for the All In podcast game, which is going to be 2 weeks from today. No, 3 weeks from today. It's February 13th. So, again, if you weren't with us in the beginning, we'll be changing the call-in times now to 4 p.m. Eastern time. But then that day, which is right after Super Bowl Sunday, we probably will either do the call-in show like way earlier on Sunday at like 1 p.m. or on Saturday because I will be in LA. I'm a huge fan of those All In podcast guys. So that's the whole thing. Okay, so Cherokee, North Carolina, 2-5. Okay.
Okay, so they have about just under 1,000. I think it was 980.
Okay.
So checks around to me. I'm in the cutoff. I raised to 25 with 910 of diamonds.
Okay.
Villain, he's the villain on the button. He three bets to 75. The guy's been extremely aggressive, three betting extremely light.
Okay.
Both the blinds fold, so I raised to 200, hoping him to get him off the hand and take it down there, but he ends up calling.
Whoa. So we went pretty fast there. So you go to 25,
Yes,
button goes to 75, everybody fold, and you decide to four bet here to 200.
correct.
And you guys started at, you said like 985 or something like
Yeah,
that, right?
yeah, about
Yeah,
a
yeah.
thousand.
That's interesting. I mean, you throw in some four bet bluffs. I mean, I guess this would be one of them. I mean, could be one of the hands. I mean, you chose a sizing of. I mean, here's the thing. Like, you went under 3x. This is not a cold four bet. So he's going to be peeling here with a lot of hands, right? It's like 125. The pot's 280 for him to call. I mean, I like this play more than with like king three of diamonds here. I would just say that I would be doing a lot of calling here, mostly. It's probably not terrible to throw in some four bets, but I just do wonder what kind of range he three bet folds here, given your sizing in this spot.
Okay, yeah. I mean, one of the reasons I did is there's been very few four bets in the table. We've been playing several hours, so I was kind of hoping that just the odds of, I mean, the change of me four betting would get him off, but it did not work.
So he makes the call,
Yeah, he
right?
makes the call.
He peels, yeah, and now
So
we're
flop comes out.
mhm.
Um, what's it called? 10 of clubs, queen of clubs, 7 of diamonds.
Okay. So you flop middle pair and a backdoor diamond draw, and you're dealing with just under two pot size bets left. It looks like, right? 405 in the pot, maybe 780 left in your stack.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So I go ahead. I bet 125.
Okay. So you start with like pretty small bet. So you bet
Yes.
125 here. Okay.
And then the villain goes ahead and raises it to 300.
Wow. So the villain now, so you bet 125, and the villain now raises to 300 on queen of clubs, 10 of clubs, 7 of diamonds. So the pot looks like it's 830 or so, and it's like 175 for you to call. So you're getting like 4.5 to 1 here. The only thing that I would say, oh man, this one's an interesting one, because the thing I would say here is if you do make the call, you know, the pot's going to be like over 1,000 and you're going to have less than half a pot size bet left. But these are kind of some pretty incentivizing pot odds with what this board is. And he just sort of 2.5x to you. I think you kind of have to. I think you kind of have to peel here, and then sometimes you actually get to realize your equity because it might shut the action down, and you might actually see two cards here. It's really awfully close, and it gets very, very dicey because of the the stack to pot ratio, scenarios.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. That's what I was thinking it really wasn't that much more. So I went ahead and I called.
Jack Fletcher says pure folding this combo LM really to 2.5x. I don't know, to the 2.5x sizing. That seems very, very nitty. Did you ever think about three betting the flop? I'm not advocating that. I'm just saying.
N- Not really. It's
Okay, good.
'cause I figure if I was going to three
I
bet, I
don't
didn't
think he's
have
going
a.
to raise full that much.
Yeah, I mean, if I shove, I mean, I figured my only option there, if I did it, was going to be to shove it, and I
Yeah,
didn't really want to shove all in with middle pair.
yeah. All right. Oh, hello, Jamin Burton in the live chat. Okay, let's move on to the turn. Pot's over 1,000 now.
Okay, so the turn's ace of diamonds.
Oh, interesting.
Yep. I check. The villain quickly checks behind me. It almost like was no thought. He saw that where he was just shutting down.
So let me just ask you this question. So it goes check, check. It's just kind of, I'm just going to think out loud here. Would we ever have, because this is where the sort of, you're so shallow with sort of in comparison to sort of the pot size, it gets really, really awkward. Would you ever have a leading range after you got raised on the flop in a four bet pot? Because it's so strange because like what hands are supposed to be 2.5x four betting anyways? Because it's not like he needs to really shovel money in to get all the money in. The pot's so bloated up anyways, like I'm talking about on the flop. So that in itself is a little bit bizarre. And now all of a sudden on the turn, it's the ace of diamonds. And again, I'm just kind of thinking out loud here. If you are going to call off anyways, or he makes a commitment and you've got pair plus flush draw, and let's say that you're going to be getting 3-1, and you think that you can have as much as 15 outs here, which would mean that you only need 2-1. Would there ever be a case? And again, I don't know if this has ever happened in my career where I got mini raised in a four bet pot, where you would donk shove turn if you're going to call off. If he ever has like king queen or something like that, like king jack, something like that. I know it's probably a reflex for you to check. I'm just kind of thinking out loud here.
No, that's a very good point.
Yeah.
Like I said, yeah, it was a reflex. I just checked it since he raised it. Looking
Yeah.
back, I mean, with the draw middle pair, I probably do have enough outs just to go ahead and shove it, but
I just think that if you are going to call off, that might be the best play. But again, it's such a rare spot, you know what I mean, to be in. Which started with your four bet pre. All right, so let's move to the river here.
Okay, so the river's the queen of hearts.
So the river here is the queen of hearts. So the final board, again, for the podcast people, hero 4-bet pre-flop with 9-10 of diamonds in the cutoff versus button, and queen of clubs, 10 of clubs, 7 of diamonds. Hero bet small, 125. He gets raised very small to like 325 or 350 or something like that. And then a call, or 300 actually, and then a call. Turns the ace of diamonds. Hero picks up the backdoor diamond draw. Check, check. And now the river here is a queen. I think that there is absolutely one square play now for you from up front on the river, I think. What do you think that play is?
I checked.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree. It kind of reminds me of the other hand too, with what your opponent is representing here, with a raise on flop and then check back turn. I can't ever really see a reason here to bet. Like what your hand is almost two in between, right? A queen is never going to fold. And then, I mean, I guess if you said, well, if I shove, he would fold like ace jack or the nut flush draw, like nut clubs, then maybe I could possibly get on board with it, but I don't necessarily know if that is going to happen. And I think that your opponent is a lot of times either going to have a queen here or he's going to try to represent it. So I do think that checking here is good. So I would check here too.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. I checked, and then the villain went all in for about $600 more.
Okay, so villain here, right? But you only have 480 effective.
Yeah, I have 480. So
yeah, so he's going all in for 480. So pot is like just a hair under 1,500 for 1485, 480 to call. So you're getting like 3-1. So you are good here. Are you good here? 1 out of 4 times. Well, obviously he's representing a queen here, right? Does he raise the flop with a queen? Here's my thinking. And actually, I'm thinking more about this one than when you submitted it in. So there's a couple of things that can go on. He could have, once in a while, the stone cold, like, invulnerable nuts, which would be like king jack of clubs that he somehow slow played. You're going to get screwed if that's the case. But then, what kind of queen X do you think raises the flop here? Like, what are the queen X's that raise the flop, if any? I'm just kind of trying to think.
Yeah, I could not think of any. That was basically, I mean, I took a long time thinking
Well,
about this one.
don't tell us what to do. I'm just asking you. Don't tell us what you're gonna do. Excuse me. Just let's talk through this. What Queen X is gonna raise on the flop?
Yeah, I could not really see him having a queen on this one.
Just because you don't think it gets raised off that much on the flop.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's a decent thought. Now, some people are rightly saying it maybe Queen 10, although I will say that with this stack to pot ratio on the turn, I don't think, now maybe your opponent does, but remember, there's only a half pot size bet left on the turn. I think if we have Queen 10 and we've somehow defended to a 4-bet, I still think it's a jam on turn. Because what else is he going to do? Right? You only have half pot size bet. I don't think you're going to check back with like half an SPR on the turn with Queen 10. You know, you can have some ace king and ace jack that you might be peeling with because of the small. I mean, I think that that's a jam. And then the other thing that I was going to say is that, you know, kind of theoretically, like usually the ones that are raised are the better ones, like ace queen on the flop. And then it would be very, very strange for him to check back, I feel like ace queen on the turn. So also too, if he is structuring correctly and he only has suited queens, if we're throwing out queen 10 and ace queen, and then he only has king queen suited and, you know, queen jack suited, just inherently there's only two combos of each one of those, right? Well, there's, you know, of diamonds and also of spades. And then also, if you look at the diamond ones, you can see how big a draw that might be. King, queen of diamonds, or queen, jack of diamonds. And there's got to be some frequency, I think, of reflex shoving on the turn. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, that's such a big draw on the turn on the diamond side. So, man, I mean, you got front door clubs that miss, but I could get curious for those reasons. It all goes back to how do we think our opponent structures a flop raising range? A flop raising range check back a turn ace with this kind of stack depth, and we can really only kind of do it on the fly. But I think I can get on board as we talked this one through, especially if he doesn't have like some king queen offs. Are you an older guy that might have a nittier image?
I'm 55. I guess I look younger, so he was a younger guy, so maybe he thought I was a nit.
I'm just trying to think about like, hey, like how often is this guy calling a 4-bet with like king queen off or queen jack off? I gotta be honest with you. I think I can get on a call as we talk through this one. I think I can get on board here with the call at 3-1. So what did you do?
I called.
Oh, okay.
I called the hand because I couldn't see what kind of queens he had. I figured if he had an ace, he may have had an ace of clubs or something, you know, going for the flush draw. But if he did that on the turn, I figured he would have pushed the money and he wouldn't have checked it. And he ended up having 7-8 of clubs. So he hit bottom pair and had a draw and was just kind of bluffing at the end.
So he knew, nice call there, Eric. So he knew that his 7 obviously wasn't going to be good. I mean, and that's a situation where I say that, you know, live players don't turn enough hands into bluffs, but this is one where I think almost any idiot's going to know after you 4-bet pre and then call his raise that a 7's never good at showdown, right? You know, so he turned 7-8 of clubs into a bluff. There was another comment in here that said, oh, he's got 4 queens. Again, though, if we go back to turn, this is why this hand's interesting with one half SPR. Why would queen be checking back on turn? That's the in a even queen 10 too. So it's an interesting one. And this is another thing that we talk about in CLP2 where, and it's not just in this situation, even though I'm not a huge fan of giving the betting lead to my opponent or checking to induce a bluff because people don't bluff enough, the times that you can do it actually even with some strong hands, and it would kind of be hard. Like say, for example, like you had pocket aces here. I'll give you a great example here. Let's say you turned pocket aces, okay? You bet the flop, and then it went check, check, okay? You can easily make the case that the right play on the river might be to check. And the reason why that is because a queen is going to value bet all in, and because the top pair paired, it will increase your opponent's bluffing frequency. Now, I know it's only half pots. You know, there's probably nothing wrong with upfront shoving, but that's when I talk about sometimes checking weak trips out of the blind after you went lead on the flop, like it gets limped around and you've got Jack Deuce and the board comes out like Jack 9-3 and you lead and somebody calls and the turn's a 5 and you lead and somebody calls and now the river's a Jack and some of the flush draws break out and you check. Because nobody else really does that with trips, it sort of gives your opponent the green light to bluff. And here I think it's very, very similar. So I could see that with aces actually checking the river here as played at the end. But thank you very much for the call. I appreciate it.
Thank you.